Welcome to Fireside Giants, a featured podcast by Empire Sports Media. I'm your host, Alexander Wilson, and my co-hosts, Anthony Rivardo and Mike Iarapino. But today, we have a special guest on the line. Please give a round of applause to the Entertainah, Chris. You can find him on Twitter at Entertainah85. Hit up his YouTube channel as well. It's phenomenal. He gives up-to-date Giants, news right up to the second with all the new signings and everything going on. So if you need your stuff the right way, he can give it to you. And make sure to follow us on Twitter as well, Alex Wilson ESM, Anthony_Rivardo, and Mike_NYY. And hit that subscribe button below, guys. We love to have you guys here, and your comments mean a lot to us. And if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, leave a review, please. It means a lot to us. Only 5 stars, though. We don't accept anything less here. This isn't a Dollar Tree store. We only want the 5 stars. So, Chris, thank you for being here. And I'm really excited to talk to you.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. And, I've been watching you. I know I used to watch Mike's channel a lot, and then I saw you join you guys. And I've actually read a lot of your articles before in the past. And, I figured I'd reach out to you guys, see if we could do something, because I always like collaborating with, Giants creators that I respect on the platform. And you guys got a great thing going on. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm always excited to talk Giants football.
Absolutely. And thanks for Mike and Anthony for being here as well on this Saturday afternoon in the rain. I know Mike's in Florida, Anthony's in Florida, so it's probably sunny or raining. Probably both at the same time because no one knows the weather there. Yeah, okay, so I'm jealous of you right now because it's like New York. New York's being overrun with the virus and it's raining, so we get the double whammy. But Chris, I'm excited to talk to you about the free agent signings and everything that's going on. James Bradberry, Blake Martinez, Kyler Fackrell, so many new guys. What do you think of them, and what are you going to grade this entire lot of new players that Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge have brought in?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if the specific players are the exact players that I expected or wanted, but the overall plan I was very much in favor with. I wanted the Giants to not go out and go hog wild and sign cost-effective deals, short-term contracts, gives them cap flexibility 2-3 years down the line. I know a lot of people are down on the Martinez signing. I'm kind of with it. I know he lacks in coverage. He's got the connection to Patrick Graham. And that was the one consistent theme I saw with all of these guys they brought in. They all have a connection to somebody on the coaching staff. And that's what Joe Judge expresses, familiarity. So overall, I'd probably give the class a B or a B-. But I thought they did a pretty good job. Did they have any splash signings that are going to make this a dramatic improvement this year? No. But I thought it was the smart, prudent approach, for 2-3 years down the line.
Absolutely. And Anthony, I know you hate Blake Martinez, so I kind of want to hear what you're rating this entire lot.
Well, I'd give probably the whole free agency a C or a C+. Yeah, the Martinez probably drags it down a bit because I think they could have paid up a couple more $1 million and gotten a lot more talent at that position. I think I've been very vocal how much I don't like that Martinez signing. I think $10 million. I know he racks up a lot of tackles, but like I've said, it's because he's in the right place at the right time for doing the wrong things. He's really awful in coverage, so usually he's letting the guy catch a ball, run 10 or 15 yards, and then tackling that guy, and it goes down as a tackle stat, and he does that often, so that's why his stats are so inflated. And, I've been kind of menza about the James Bradberry signing, and I do really like the Fackrell signing, so that boosts the grade to me, so around a C+. That's about what I'd give it.
That's fair. It seems like the consensus by a lot of people, they got him around the C or C+.
I'd probably go with a B- for me. I don't think they made any signings here that are going to screw them for the future. So, the things that annoyed me from this offseason were the Leonard Williams thing for $16 million. I prefer a long-term deal for $11-12 million per year. And I do think he's a player that should be here long-term because you made the trade. He doesn't get injured. He's 25 years old. It makes all the sense in the world. Has familiarity here, obviously, being with the Jets. And I did like the Bradberry signing. The money's $15 million per year. So, it's not the greatest value out there, but he's still a solid player. I view him as a very high-end cornerback, too. So I like that move. And then the Martinez, I would agree. It's kind of I'm not really too for it, but I'm not too against it either. He definitely is the type of guy we need for this defense because he's a huge upgrade over Ogletree and the JT Thomases and whoever we had here in the past. You know what I mean? Jonathan Casillas.
I forgot he existed.
I'm a big Cam Fleming guy. I do think he might be a New England type player because Tom Brady caught the ball, out very quickly. It might have made him look better than he actually is. He did struggle a bit last year, but it's not that much of a downgrade from what Mike Remmers was giving us either. So I'm fine with that. Colt McCoy's fine. So yeah, give me a B- for this offseason. It wasn't too great, but it wasn't terrible either.
Yeah,
right. I'm kind of in the same boat as Chris as well, like with the B- area, just because I think Bradbury's a good signing, and I know, his dad yesterday was talking to the New York Post and was saying, the Giants were looking at Byron Jones pretty heavily, and they wanted him. And they passed on him, and we're okay with being the second choice because they matched our number no problem. So, 3 years, $45 million, $32 million guaranteed. That's a pretty significant contract for a guy that isn't considered elite. But it's perfect for the Giants who want to get out of those deals after the second year. And, third year comes around, they're like, we want to shed cap, invest more in top quality and top-notch players when they feel like they can contend for a Super Bowl, or like theoretically that's what they're hoping. So I kind of like these signings and how they structured them, and that's kind of why I'm giving this a B overall. Some of the talent is questionable. Like Anthony is really pessimistic about Blake Martinez, rightfully so, because he is absolutely garbage in coverage. Yeah. And people compare him to, Corey Littleton, and they're like, like their coverage grades are pretty similar. And I'm like, it's just they're so much different, such different players. Because Blake Martinez is the type of guy who's going to soak up tackles. He's that Mike linebacker that's waiting. He's a patient guy, very patient linebacker and defender. He's not going to fill those gaps in plug holes like Ryan Connolly will. And that's kind of like why I was really confused about that signing particularly, because if they want to go Isaiah Simmons and everything's pointing in that direction, why are you going to get Blake Martinez? I think Connolly deserves a fair shot at the starting gig. So I don't know. It's questionable to me, but do you guys think, let's say they do draft Simmons, do you think they should have just gave Connolly a chance or let Martinez plug that role?
Yeah. First I want to speak a little bit more about the Bradbury contract. That is the thing I loved about it. The 3-year deal. A lot of people looked at the $15 million a year and they said that's too much. 3-year deal. You look at the other Byron Jones. He got 5 years. So the ability to get it after 2 is incredibly valuable, and that was a hole we needed to fill. So I actually really liked the Bradbury signing, but. As far what was the question you just asked me? I'm sorry, I was thinking so much about about the cornerback
Martinez. And him. Yes, go ahead.
No. You asked me something else before that. You asked me
Simmons, Isaiah Simmons.
Oh, Simmons. Yeah. I'm actually leaning the other way. I don't think they're going to take Simmons. I could be completely wrong. I think that they're going to go with Martinez, and I think they're going to go with Conley, and maybe get a linebacker in the second or third round. I think they're going to take a tackle. Now, I want them to trade down and take that tackle. In an ideal world, I don't know if they're going to find that partner, but I actually think they're going to take a tackle. I could be wrong.
I'm not against the idea of a tackle either. I've been saying a lot the past few weeks. I'm really okay with Simmons or a tackle because you fill 2 positions of need. Playmaker on defense, linebacker who's really can do it all. He can play in the slot. He can play, mid-high safety, and he can plug the run, stop the run, and he can rush the passer. He had 8 sacks and 16.5 tackles for a loss last year. That's phenomenal for a guy who's coined as a linebacker. He really is self-proclaimed as a defender, which I really like, and that gives him a lot of diversity. But at the same time, we need a tackle. We need a left tackle to take over after Nate Solder. I can't imagine him being on the team next year unless he plays significantly, improved football in 2020. And then right tackle is kind of just like a Cam Fleming, Nick Gates toss-up right now. But I think Nick Gates is underrated. I think he could come and surprise us, which would be awesome to me.
Yeah, Gates played great the last 3 games, so I'm with you. I think he could get that spot. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No problem. I want to say I think Gates has a chance to maybe start at center. I think they're definitely going to give him a chance to compete for that position as well because he was originally a right guard and they kicked him out to right tackle. He played he played well at both guard and tackle. But since he is naturally a guard, maybe pushing him inside the center since we didn't sign anybody there, that might be something that they do and it could work out pretty well.
It's possible. I would be fine with that. He's under a great contract. I think he is capable of it, but I do also believe they're going to try and dress center in the draft. I'm a big Tyler Biadasz guy who's, hopefully there at 36 overall. There's other people, of course. Someone asked about Matt Hennessy the other day from Temple. So there's a lot of people in this draft you can take. I think there's some day one starters out there, but as for the linebacker situation, I do agree with Chris and Anthony. I do think it's more of leaning towards Conley and Blake Martinez next year. I do think this means they're probably not going to go Isaiah Simmons, but as Chris said, we could be wrong here. We don't know what's going on, but if I had to take an educated guess about this, I still think they're going to try and get a franchise left tackle for the future.
Yeah. The main reason I think that it has less even to do with free agency, it has everything to do with, first off, Gettleman's job, and I can't wait to talk about Gettleman with you guys. Gettleman's job right now, in my opinion, relies on Daniel Jones. And if you're Dave Gettleman, you invested the second overall pick on a running back. You took your franchise quarterback last year, and you spent the bulk of your free agency money on the defense. To me, it's leaning towards getting that protector for Daniel Jones, because if Daniel Jones does not progress this year, Dave Gettleman's without a job, and he knows it. And you have to get protection for Daniel Jones. We surrendered the most QB pressures in football at the tackle position last year, right side and left side combined. That's not good for a second-year quarterback, especially one that's learning a new offense. So I think that they're going to go tackle.
Yeah, I mean, tackle seems also to be right in line with what they're looking to do. But I agree, Dave Gettleman should be on the hot seat. We're going into the third year of a rebuild, and really we skipped over an entire year because, like you said, he drafted Saquon Barkley, and that kind of draft pick indicates that you're trying to win right now. That's not a we're rebuilding right now draft pick. That's a we're trying to win in 2018 or 2018, right?
Yeah.
Yes, 2018, and that just didn't happen. Like, he came back and said, it didn't work. Our plan to win during a rebuild did not work, and now we have to backtrack and start this rebuild all over again, and then fire our head coach after the first year of a rebuild. Like that just screams, mismanagement, like malpractice to me. When you have a general manager who comes in and says, we're going to win right now, then fires the head coach, but he's retained, right? He had two good drafts. They're still up in the air, though. We haven't seen, everything that these players have had to show. And then his free agent signings have been all over the place. Like, a lot of them have been really bad. Some of them have been good. But for the most part, it's questionable to me, like, where they're going to go. If this draft doesn't end up being really good for the Giants, Dave Gettleman's out of a job next year, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I watch Mike's channel a lot, and now that he's on yours, I know Mike's not the biggest Gettleman guy. I think I'm more of a Gettleman guy than Mike. I wouldn't consider myself a Gettleman. He does everything right. The Leonard Williams trade was horrible. He's done a lot of things that make me scratch my head. He's done a lot of things that I like. I think he's drafted well. I think people pick on his free agency moves a little bit because they won't credit him for some of the good small moves that he makes, like David Mayo, like Cody Core. I think he's made a number. I think he's made a bunch of good moves in the small department that kind of offset the bad moves. Yeah, special teams in the small department. But the Leonard Williams trade is indefensible. That was definitely a fireable offense. I'll be the first to say it. And as much as I am a pro Gettleman guy, or I shouldn't even say, I'm willing to give him a shot. I was in favor of actually moving on this year when they decided to move on from Pat. Because now the way I look at it, you just brought in Joe Judge. It's going to be hard to find a new general manager if you fire Gettleman after 1 year of Joe Judge. Because if you're going to fire him, you figure it's a 5-win team. And you got a second-year coach who has a career 5-11 record. You got a team that hasn't won more than 5 or 6 games over the last 4 years. And what credible general manager is going to want to come in here? So I would have blown it up. But because they haven't blown it up, I think there's a chance Gettleman's going to get another year after this year, almost regardless of what happens this year. Maybe if they win 3 games, they get rid of him. But if they go 5 or 6 wins, I think he gets 1 more year after this year. I could be wrong, though. Yeah, a lot of it's going to be dependent on the draft, like you said.
Right. And Anthony, like, what are you thinking about Dave Gettleman at this point? Because he should be on the hot seat right now. Going into his third year of a rebuild, it's pretty. I know you have your thoughts, so I want to hear what you think.
So yeah, we keep mentioning this rebuild and how they're in their third year, but I really only see it as they're in their second year, because that first year is a wash. They were trying to win now by drafting Saquon Barkley and keeping Eli Manning. So I think that they went into this rebuild not thinking it was a rebuild, but then obviously they saw Eli's really regressed now. It's time to get the new quarterback, and they did that last year. So I think that was the first year of the rebuild, the Daniel Jones year. And I think the second year is the second year of the rebuild. And, I think they're going to go offensive tackle as well. I think they should go Isaiah Simmons, and I think their defense is set up perfectly where Isaiah Simmons would just thrive in this. But I do think, like Chris, they're going to go offensive tackle because they're trying to rebuild and center it around Daniel Jones, who is Dave Gettleman's quarterback. Him and Jones are going to be tied at the hip for the rest of their careers. If Daniel Jones ends up being a Hall of Famer, Gettleman's going to look like an evil genius. If Daniel Jones ends up busting out of the league in 5 years, Gettleman's going to look like the buffoon that people called him on draft night when they drafted Daniel Jones. But I think that his job is safe throughout this entire year. And I'm leaning towards what Chris was saying as well. I think next year he's probably safe too, just because they're finally in that rebuild mode. They finally are making these short-term contracts. Like we discussed earlier, that Martinez contract is really a 2-year deal because the third year has $0 in dead cap. So these moves make it seem like they've got more foresight with Dave Gettleman than we initially believed, and it makes it look like they're giving him the keys to complete this rebuild. And then afterwards, if they don't get out of the hole after this rebuild, then they're going to move on because, I don't know, it just looks like he's safe for at least another year at this point.
All right. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they have to hit a certain mark next year. Like, I think they should at least be 7-9. I think if you're anything below that, it might just be a time to say, like, this isn't the right guy for the job. And you guys know how I feel about it. I think he's made some very questionable moves. And even when he's made the good moves, like, we don't know how much the Marcus Golden signing was influenced by James Bettcher last year, and even the guy like Kyler Fackrell this year by Patrick Graham. So, I mean, there's stuff like that up in the air. But he has made some good moves. I think that Darius Slayton find was tremendous. You have Ryan Conley, who looked like a real player last year. I think Will Hernandez is a pretty solid starter. I think he has some room to grow. But there's some draft picks he's made in the past that do look really good. I know B.J. Hill regressed. Lorenzo Carter was last year. I think people underrate him. I think he was better than what people are perceiving it now. But there's stuff like that. And another thing, I think people are giving him giving Gettleman too much credit for the whole 2-3-year deal. I think it's more of the players. There's been so many 2 or 3 year deals this offseason. I think the players are seeing it as the CBA, whatever it is. The salary cap's going to go up so much in the next couple of years. They're going to try and cash in one more time. So, yeah, you can credit the GM for it, but I think it's more of the players being like, hey, I want a lot more money in a couple of years. So I think they're looking at it that way. But, look, I mean, I want Gettleman to succeed. I'm not trying to, I want this team to win. I'm tired of watching the Giants go 5-11, 4-12 every year. I'm just, I just want to see this team win no matter what. Yeah, we just want Daniel Jones to be the guy, and I do think taking offensive linemen in this draft pretty high would be the best thing for him.
That's a really good point you bring up about the CBA and the short-term contracts. Because if I was a player, I would have wanted to do the same thing. It's a really good point you bring up.
Exactly. That is a really good point. And, I have a question. Anthony kind of brought it up, and it sparked in my head. When Daniel Jones was drafted initially, what was your reaction to that? Because I remember where I was. I was on the 9th floor. And it's like one of the things, like, I don't remember where I was when Saquon was drafted, but I remember exactly where I was when Daniel Jones was drafted because I was on the 9th floor of my friend's apartment in Manhattan. I told my friend sitting next to me, if they take Daniel Jones, I'm jumping off the goddamn balcony right now. So I'm here now. Luckily, I had a parachute, but I was so upset, and I'm the first one to say I did not think that was going to pan out. And after a season of seeing him perform and how he's developed, I'm really happy that he was that selection. But at the end of the day, like Anthony, I get what you're saying. That we're really going into the second year of a rebuild, but so are the Cardinals, and so are the San Francisco 49ers, or 49ers rather going into the third year. They're kind of where the Giants were in the same timeline. And the 49ers are a Super Bowl team, and the Cardinals have DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray, and they have who's a running back now, like Kenyon Drake or something.
Yeah,
Kenyon Drake.
They have a pretty good team, and they have a high draft pick. Like we're sitting here right now, and we're talking about the Giants when there's teams in the same timeline way better off than we are. So it's really hard for me to justify Dave Gettleman's actions to this point. Unless John Mara's behind the scenes, twiddling his thumbs, being like it was all my doing the whole time.
Here's what I'll say in comparing it to the San Francisco 49ers. And I do think Mara, at least in my opinion, there's no way of me knowing this, I do think Mara had a lot to do with Eli more so than Gettleman did. I could be wrong on that.
100%.
But as far as the comparing it to the situation, because a lot of people do that, comparing it to the same situation the 49ers were going into last year. 49ers were a much better team the year before. Garoppolo went down at the beginning of the year. So I think the 49ers were actually probably 2 years ago where the Giants are now. I think that team was going to be about an 8-8 team. And then Garoppolo goes down, they get the first pick, they get Bosa, and then that obviously catapulted them to where they got to. But yeah, I don't think it's fair to have the expectations that we should be a Super Bowl contender next year, or Gettleman's got to get his head cut off. But I do want to see some progression, even if it's not in the win column. I want to see a defense that keeps these games close, because I recognize it's a very tough schedule. Because the Bucs now got Brady. We're playing the North. We're playing a really tough schedule. So we could be a much improved team and still win 6 games. So it's hard for me to put a record number to say how Gettleman's got to keep his job. I need to see the offensive line improve. I need to see Daniel Jones fix his fumbling problems.
Yes.
And as far as my reaction on draft night, look up any Giants fan compilation. I'm on there. It's not my proudest moment. But he's definitely won me over. I don't know if he's going to be a superstar, but he's definitely, I think if you give him the right pieces, like we did with Eli Manning early on in his career with an offensive line, I think he could be a winning quarterback. I still love Josh Allen. I wanted Josh Allen on draft night, but Daniel Jones had a very good rookie year. And the one thing he's got to work on is the fumbling and the reading of defense is pre-snap. But overall, I mean, I don't think you could have expected a much better rookie season when you factor in all the injuries to the receiving corps, Saquon Barkley, the poor offensive line. I thought Daniel Jones had at least a B rookie season, minimum.
I can agree with that. What do you think, Anthony?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Daniel Jones really impressed me. I do remember draft night. I had a few friends over, and my mom, she's a big Giants fan as well, so we were all watching it together, and we saw Josh Allen fell to 6, and I was getting all excited because I was telling all my friends, it's going to be Josh Allen. I can't wait. I love this kid. And I'm just like sitting there like, so I remember I had my hands behind my head because I was like really uneasy because I was like scared that Daniel Jones was going to be the pick.
We all knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, we knew. I had this subconscious feeling like I know it's going to happen, but I was like holding out hope Josh Allen's going to be the pick. And then Daniel Jones, and I just felt like my heart sank. And my one friend, I just hear him start to chuckle. And I just look at him. I got mad. I had to leave the room. I had to go stand outside, get some fresh air for a bit. When I came back, I'm like, okay, maybe it's not going to be that bad. And then, yeah, he's super impressive this rookie year. I'd give it like an A-. I think his accuracy was far better than I expected it to be. I think he read defenses pretty well. He's a lot more athletic than people give him credit for. Obviously, the fumbles are a problem.
That's true.
But, I see a lot of potential there, and I think Dave Gettleman actually made the right pick. We'll obviously see in 3 to 5 years if he really did or not, but so far so good. It looks pretty great to me. And, I'm holding out hope. I also do remember the Saquon Barkley pick. I remember that night as well. I remember I just felt very bittersweet because I felt like I knew it was the wrong thing to do, but I was excited because Saquon's awesome and he's so talented. But I was like, it should be a rebuild. But you know what? Welcome Saquon. So
yeah,
I remember.
It's like going to the candy store and buying a ton of candy, eating all of it, and being like, it was a bad idea, but it was the right thing to do.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but Anthony, you mentioned your mom being a Giants fan. Like, that's pretty cool to have a family member that's also, in on the team as much as you are. My dad was actually an Eagles fan. I've since converted him, because I overpowered him with just, as a Giants fan. I remember, I think I became a Giants fan when I was 5 years old. My neighbor was a big fan, and they just got me on the train. I was like, ever since then, I've been like, Eli Manning's the guy. I've been watching him since I was a kid. And, converting someone from being an Eagles fan to a Giants fan is very difficult.
Yeah.
Because not only Eagles fans pieces of shit, and I got their entire fan base on me the other day. I don't know if you guys saw that on Twitter, but there's a feed of them just going, this is actually crazy. I was going through their responses, and not only are they pieces of shit, but one of them went onto my Facebook page and screenshotted a picture of me when I was 15 and put it on my Twitter, and I was like, wow, it wasn't a bad picture or anything, but I was just like, wow, that's really creepy. And that's why I called you guys filth in the first place. No normal person would do that to anybody. You could, that's the weirdest thing you could do to somebody. Go into their 15-year-old photos on Facebook and then post it on Twitter. And I'm like, holy shit! You guys are pieces of shit. I feel Eli Manning. Eli Manning's wife Abby never goes there because they harassed her and Eli's family. I think we can all collectively say screw them. And I hope I don't hope anything bad against them, but I hope we beat them for the next decade.
Oh, God. We haven't been able to beat – it seems like we haven't beaten that team in 50 years. And it seems like every time we play them, we find a way to lose. We were up by, with Shermer 2 years ago. We had, a 20-7 halftime lead. Saquon Barkley's running it on them every play, 10 yards.
That legendary run.
Yeah, and then Shermer basically goes into the halftime and he says, all right, we're not going to run. I think Barkley got 4 carries in the second half. It was it was ridiculous. We always screw it up somehow, some way, shape, or form against the Eagles.
We were up 14.
It's not
right?
we.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, it's not us. It's Shermer. It's Shermer or Ben McAdoo. They always find a way to screw things up. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
That game that you
Do you
mentioned,
want
Chris.
my draft night stories or what? Are we going to do this for me?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
let's do it.
All right. I remember I had my for 2018. I had my Baker Mayfield Oklahoma jersey. That's of course who I wanted at first, and realized that wasn't going to happen.
Oof.
So then you guys know I wanted Josh Rosen. Stupid looking back on it, but really didn't want a running back second overall. So when they announced it, I literally just slammed the jersey on the ground, and I was pretty upset about it. But it is what it is. Then the next year, I had it was just like a dumbfounded look on my face. I think I sat there for about 2 minutes, just like my family was just like laughing at me and stuff. And I was just like, I was 90% sure it was Josh Allen. So like I know you guys had Daniel Jones in the back of your mind, but I was like, they're not going to pick Daniel Jones here. I was like, maybe 17, but not 6. And then,
or even trade up from 17.
Yeah.
So shocking to me. So I mean, that's basically my reaction to it.
I got a hypothetical for you guys. I was just thinking about it. I got a hypothetical for you guys. Now that we've seen the last 2 drafts, and I agree with you. Perfect scenario, and I love Saquon's my favorite. Eli Manning's my favorite athlete of all time, but Saquon's my second favorite Giant ever. I love Saquon. I love that he's on the team, but I agree with you guys. There's definitely a strong argument to be made that we should have either A, traded down, gotten Quentin Nelson, gotten Bradley Chubb, accumulated assets. There's a strong argument for that, especially being that we weren't a win-now team. I get that. But if you could go back in time, what combination would you rather have today? Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones, or insert quarterback here, whether it's Josh. We're not gonna say Lamar Jackson because he wasn't in the conversation. Yeah, Josh Rosen, Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, any one of the 3, and Josh Allen. What combination would you rather have?
2 Josh Allen sounds cool, but I'm just putting that out there. But
Well, I think Darnold and Josh Allen sounds better than 2 Josh Allens. But
Darnold,
man, I don't know. It's kind of hard. I don't want to disrespect our boys like that, but
This is no disrespect. It's just like a hypothetical. I think Darnold and Allen is an awesome combo, but are we talking Darnold with mono or without mono? Because that's an important factor.
Preferably without it. I wouldn't want him on the team if he had mono all the time.
That's true. I mean, okay, let's say he's not kissing other people and getting mono. Let's say, like he played last season, he's developing. I think I probably would have gone Josh Allen and Darnold just because, like, that would have guaranteed a rebuild. We would be 3 years into an actual rebuild, not 2 years into a bullshit half-ass rebuild that we decided to change up after the first year and then fired our head coach after the next year. We'd be on a better track, I think.
I don't get it. I think that's so. You said it before, Chris. It's so John Mara influence. I know I get on Gettleman a lot, but I really think it was John Mara who wanted Eli Manning back in 2018.
I agree.
And me as a fan, I could tell back in 2016 that Eli Manning was starting to decline. And I'm like, why are we doing this 2 seasons later? Like, we can tell we're probably not winning a Super Bowl with this guy. Like, unless he had the perfect team around him.
That's the thing.
We're far from perfect. We know. Yeah. So it's like, I wish I started the rebuild back in 2018, but right now between Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold, it's pretty close. I'm not ready to say one's better than the other, but it looked like Daniel Jones showed more promise in his rookie year than Sam Darnold did in his.
Yeah, and you could definitely make an argument either way, but yeah, no, I'm with you. It's a tough comparison. I think I would still. I don't mind what the Giants ended up with. Obviously, I would have wanted the pass rusher. And in a perfect scenario, you trade down to 5, you get either Chubb or Nelson, and you get those future picks, but just having to pick between those 2 scenarios, I think it's pretty close, at least after the first year.
I agree.
But I'm with you. It would have accelerated the rebuild process. And I'm also in complete agreement with Mike, even though I always stick up for Eli Manning. I love Eli Manning. I think Eli Manning, had he been given a situation similar to Dak Prescott, similar to Drew Brees with the Saints where everything was around him, similar to Tom Brady with the Patriots, I think he could have still been successful the last couple of years. But we didn't have anything near that. So the Giants should have been a smarter organization, realized that, moved on from Eli Manning in 2017, and started the rebuild then, and we would have been more advanced at this point in time. I agree with Mike on that.
Yeah, I love Eli, and I think he definitely put us in a little bit of a bind because John Mara was so clearly upset and like hurt personally when he retired. But Mike, I was thinking before, you mentioned you were wearing that Baker Mayfield jersey and you threw it on the ground. All I could picture was like this voodoo jersey, like somewhere in a bar, Baker Mayfield was hammered, just someone, Just like he just got punched in the face because he threw his jersey down or something. I feel like Baker's like one of those guys that just like weird shit happens to him. Like didn't he get arrested for like public urination or something?
Yeah, he got attacked by police officers. Tackled by police officers. Yeah,
he was attacked by wild police officers because he was pissing in a bush. Oh God, Baker! I don't know about that guy. I love his I guess his like personality because he's so just arrogant. But at the same time, he regressed a lot last year. But I guess that's more because of Freddie Kitchens than anything.
Yeah, offensive lines.
It's put up or shut up time this year. It's put up or shut up time for Mayfield. He's got no excuses this year. But I agree with you guys. I think he's going to take a big step up this year.
I love Stefanski, so I'm excited.
Yeah,
Stefanski's legit from Minnesota, right? Didn't he work with Shermer?
He did. Yeah.
I don't know. But okay, so for the next segment, I have a cool idea for the next segment. I want to do 3v3 street football pickup. You have to pick 3 current Giants players on your team. I want to start with Anthony here because I know he's going to pick Blake Martinez to be a starting quarterback.
Oh yeah. So I'm playing on the team, right?
Yes, you're playing on the team. You have 3. Let's say you have 3 other players you have to do.
Are we doing a draft style? So I pick someone, and Chris pick someone, or do I just pick my 3?
I feel like we should do that.
I think we should do
that.
draft style so we don't duplicate human beings.
I agree.
Okay, well,
you go first.
First pick has to be Saquon Barkley because he's like the perfectly built football player. So that'll be my pick. Chris, I guess you can go next.
You go next.
I gotta go Daniel Jones because he's the only quarterback I can trust on the roster. I can't trust Colt McCoy. I'm going Daniel Jones.
Okay, Mike, you go now.
I would probably take Jabril Peppers. Give me the freak show.
That's my next pick.
He could play running back if he needed to, all over the field on defense. I feel that'd be a great pick there.
Damn, well, that really just ruined my plan of action. Who am I going with now? I'll probably go with Dexter Lawrence because there's no way anyone's bringing that guy down, and he's tackling Saquon Barkley.
So it's tackle then. We're playing tackle?
Yeah.
I'm taking a knee.
I'm
taking a knee every time I catch the ball.
That's fine. If you can catch it.
Let's see. I guess I need a hog molly then. Someone's got to tackle Dexter Lawrence. I got to combat them. Maybe we'll have...
You're going to bite his shoelace or something.
We'll get Dalvin Tomlinson. We'll just have the 2 boys.
I like it.
Duke it out.
I like it. I'm going Will Hernandez. He's nasty in the huddle. I'm going Will Hernandez. He's my second guy.
Okay.
I was going to take him. That was a good pick. Everyone's going big guys, so I'm going to try and zag here. Give me Evan Ingram, another freakishly athletic guy. There's injuries are turned off in this league.
I was going to say he's going to be hurt by the first quarter.
Yeah. I was going to say I got John Jalapio post Achilles tear. No, I don't want John Jalapio. I'm going to go with Sterling Shepard, just because I think we need that like kind of funny guy who I can play video games with after the game.
Oh man, that's who I wanted. Oh, you know what? I'll go DeAndre Baker then, because I think that he's a pretty cool. He's a character. He's from Florida, so maybe we can go link up at the clubs in Miami.
There you go.
He's in Miami. Are you even allowed to drink yet?
No, I will be having water and root beer.
I was listening to your last podcast, or 2 podcasts ago. You said you got sea lice. What the hell is that?
Oh boy.
Oh man, finally that's gone. Thank God. So I guess if you go into the ocean, right, there's like these little microscopic jellyfish that go through it, and they get on your skin. And if you don't get out and wipe yourself off with like a towel immediately, you're going to get like a huge rash for about a week. And I guess what they are, they're microscopic jellyfish, and they just create a rash. And I forgot a towel that day, so I got out and I sun-dried. And I guess that's where I went wrong, because that's what Google said, I guess.
I can vouch for this because his story has been consistent, so I know he did not forget a towel.
Yeah.
I know he did forget a towel. He did forget a towel.
I forgot a towel. Yeah. So I didn't want to be like, yo, John, let me borrow your towel, man, and then like wipe myself off. Be like, here, your turn. So I was just like, I'll air dry this time, I guess. Man, big mistake.
Sea lice. You would get sea lice.
Yeah, no, I never even heard of that in New York. But
that's what I said.
Yeah, As far as
in
my
Hudson River, we get rats.
yeah, we get rats in the water. Yeah,
Sea rats.
and mutated fish. As far as my third pick, I'll go Darius Slayton. I'll take that deep ball threat. I'll go Darius.
That's
Slayton.
a good pick. It's a good pick. Okay, Mike, what are you at?
Oh, I'm up now. All right. I'm between Leonard Williams and Lorenzo Carter. I'm probably going to go Carter. I feel like he's just more versatile. Just give me a bunch of athletic dudes. We'll just run around the field. Hopefully, we score a lot of points that way. I'll go with Lorenzo.
Okay. It's my turn, right? I'm not bugging.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with Alex Tanney just because I don't have anyone to throw the ball. I'm not trusting Dexter Lawrence to throw passes. And Shepard's there to catch passes, and I certainly am not throwing passes. I mean, I guess like that would make the most sense if I was to be throwing the passes because there's no way I'm catching against DeAndre Baker or Jabril Peppers. Or Will Hernandez, for that matter. He's probably faster. You never think, like, I wonder if I could beat these offensive linemen in, like, a 40-yard dash.
Nope.
You know, we're talking Will Hernandez or, like, these big guys like Nate Solder. Like, am I beating them in a 40-yard dash? Probably not. Or 100% not. But you're looking at them run, you're like, I could beat them.
Yeah.
I think Mekhi Becton's faster than us.
It's crazy. And Tristan Wirfs ran a 40 time that some wide receivers run. Like it's crazy.
That's crazy. And like that kind of leads me to our mailbag. And one of the questions was, would you prefer? Oh,
I got to explain my team first because I didn't have a quarterback or receivers, and some people might be confused. Saquon's playing quarterback on my team, and I'm the receiver. You guys do not want to catch me on a football field. I promise. I am such a clean route runner. Your ankles are gone if you catch me on a football field.
Yeah, because he was brass.
That's why I did that. No. I got hands like crazy. I'm going to post a YouTube video.
It's like the longest yard.
I'm going to show it off. I don't draft passes. I'm a beast on the field, so I had to give my explanation out there.
All right.
You should teach
No
him
flex.
how to not drop passes.
We'll try.
I don't understand. I don't believe you in this scenario, really. I can't
We need a
imagine.
video.
You'll see. You'll see. Okay.
Yeah, can you
All
you record a video? Can we post this to the channel? Like Anthony catching like, yo, can you please make a highlight video and then we can post it to like newest Giants.
I got you.
I guess writer highlights.
I'm telling you, you don't want to see it, man. It's
That's like the weirdest idea ever, but I think I'd enjoy it.
Are you
You'll see,
going to
man.
be catching the passes
Boom,
from Saquon? Is Saquon going to be throwing them to you? Like
Yeah, Saquon's throwing it, and anytime you blitz, against Saquon, he's going to take off, and that's pretty much the game plan. Just let Saquon do his thing, but I'll be open like 85% of the time, so he can hit me. When he
This
needs
still
to.
has to be really small because there's no way Dexter Lawrence is catching Saquon if he's trying to run around him. This has to be like the width of this field has to be like really small.
Well,
Like the
my
smallest
flag
field
league.
ever.
In my flag league at school, I think it was like a 35-yard width or something. So they
That's
shrink it down, or maybe it was like
Width is
25.
35?
I don't know. It was
It's a pretty wide field.
I think it was 25. It felt too small sometimes, but
Okay.
yeah, it was
I
fun,
don't know.
and nobody could guard me, so that was fun.
Are all these like? Are you playing with kindergartners or something?
Playing against seniors in college, man.
Damn,
all
I'm
of it.
impressed. I gotta
Taking
see
them
these
all.
highlights, man.
Okay. Well, as soon as quarantine or whatever is over, I'll call my friends. I'll have them come by, and they'll film. And I got a friend who's a pretty good quarterback. He'll throw, and you'll see me, man. I was over at one of the fraternities a couple weeks ago, hanging out, and they were throwing the ball around. And I'm not in the fraternity, but I impressed them like a lot, and they gave me a bid because I walked over and I was just like, boom. Boom, boom, like catching everything with one hand. And they were just like, who is this kid? And then they started inviting me a lot more.
I wasn't sure what boom represented in that.
That was me catching balls with one
Was
hand.
a boom a catch or was
I
a boom
know.
like you getting hit in the face or something?
That was me. I had my root beer in one hand, was catching the ball over here in the other. It was
Damn,
awesome, man.
I had no idea you were that athletic. That's pretty cool.
Maybe instead of having the license plate guy like big softball event, we'll get all of the YouTube content makers, all the writers, everybody make our own
Can we
big
all
like
just
backyard football
simultaneously
game for
tackle
charity.
Pat Shermer or Pat Leonard. Can we all just simultaneously tackle Pat Leonard?
Yeah, we can do that.
I'm in for that.
What have you heard? What have you heard lately, Pat? I want to hear no nonsense now. Oh, we got some things right these past few months. I think he actually did decent this past offseason.
Matt Lombardo's done a pretty good job. I'm not gonna lie. He was way ahead of that Blake Martinez signing.
Matt Lombardo's the guy from NJ.com?
Yeah,
I think so.
Eagles, though.
I don't know about that guy. I don't know.
You can't tell me either. Steven probably had his boys in Philly hold down Blake Martinez's reps and be like, yo, where is he going? That's how he found out. It wasn't a natural like I heard from my sources, no, I killed his dad, and that's how I found out.
I'm gonna get all my friends to vouch in the comments for me, though. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna get them all to vouch because they'll vouch. They know I'm crazy.
Yeah, I want to hear some. I feel like Mike's pretty good too. Loki, he's been quiet, right? Mike's been quiet, but I feel like he's got hands. He just doesn't want to brag.
Caucasian, I'll put it that way. I couldn't, mess around with DeAndre Baker and Jabril Peppers, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not too bad, I guess.
I mean, if it's first half of the season, rookie DeAndre Baker, I might go for 200 yards.
If he's in zone coverage, you're good to go.
Exactly. Oh,
yeah. You should have a wheelchair on hand for Baker. His legs are gonna be fucking mush.
I'm a pretty good safety too. I'm not gonna lie. I had 8 interceptions in my AM league, so
it's like Antoine Winfield Jr. over there.
Dude, can we talk about him for a second, please? Oh, yeah. I love this guy. I just wrote an article on him. Yeah, pretty much. I like this guy though. His dad played in the NFL. And he's from Minnesota. He's not the most athletic, not the biggest guy, but this guy's a ball hawk, and he can play. He's gritty. He has that mentality. I know Mike seemed like he was pretty excited about him, so I want to hear what he thinks.
Yeah, I mean, his football IQ is pretty insane. I mean, I read an article about him. His dad just installed it in him from at a young age, and now he just loves football. And he's just the typical center fielder, a great modern day safety that you would need. I think he would fit so well with Jabril Peppers. And I'll just say, if the Giants took him at number 36 overall, I would not slam my jersey.
What do you? All right, let's say we're right and they go offensive tackle at number 4 or whatever. What do you want them to do in second round? Ideally, do you want them to go with a safety? A lot of people have talked about the safety. They've talked about Winfield. They've talked about Delpit. Mm-hmm. Or do you want to go with a guy like Bourne? Which I don't know if he'll be there, but a guy like that, Matos. The one thing with Matos, he has obviously a connection to some of the coaches, right? Spence was his defensive line coach at Penn State. That seems to be a theme through free agency, what they're trying to do. So if he's there, I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Giants took him. I don't know if he will be, but would you rather them go after a pass rusher / linebacker? If you go offensive tackle, would you rather get the safety?
Oh,
pass rusher.
So. Yeah, I'd probably say pass rusher because we don't really have one. But Bond, I don't necessarily trust him to develop the way that we want him to. He kind of resembles Kyler Fackrell, almost to a T. They look pretty similar in the style of their play. I really think we need a free safety. I'm tired of plugging Antoine Bethea and Curtis No Angles Riley back into free safety position. I'm tired of it, man. I want a guy who's going to sit back there and collect interceptions. And Winfield is that guy. And I'd be more than happy to spend the 36th overall pick on him and solidify that. We missed it on Devin McCourty. He signed with the Patriots. But, this is a position we haven't had a good player in a very long time. Very, very long time.
I'm trying to think. And Andrew Adams, Darian Thompson. When's the last time we had a good free safety?
Stevie Brown, that one season.
Yeah.
He was pretty
7
good.
picks. He had 7 picks and he disappeared.
Our secondary is never good. I mean, even when we went around Super Bowls, it wasn't. Antero Roll was a good safety, but I mean, we're always a pass rush team. We always have been, but we don't even have that right now. We just need players at this point in time. But but no, I wouldn't be opposed to a safety. But me personally, I prefer the Bourne. To me, you were talking about Bourne. He kind of reminds me of Van Noy a little bit, kind of a linebacker that could do a little bit of everything. He's not a strict pass rusher. He's decent in coverage. I think he's going to be a smart player, but I think you're right. He's not going to be a guy that's going to get you 10, 11, 12 sacks. If there was one guy in this team that I could see taking that big jump in that department, it would probably be Zimenez. I could see Zimenez having a strong sophomore year.
Yeah, I agree. Zimenez is actually one of my breakout guys this year. He put 45% of defensive snaps and had 4.5 sacks last year. He had more sacks than Lorenzo Carter. And so that should say something. That should say a lot about what we should expect from him in 2020. He's one of those guys that they're expecting to take a big jump. Came from Old Dominion, smaller school. But the guy can ball, and that's what we're looking to see.
Yeah, I like Zimenez.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, Alex, do I get a mailbag question? Because I have a good question for you guys.
Go ahead, drop your mailbag.
All right, trade scenario here, right? So, would you trade the 4th pick to the, Las Vegas Raiders to acquire the 12th pick in the draft, the 19th pick in the draft, and round 3, number 80 in the draft? Would you do that?
You want me to go first?
Whoever, yeah. Why are the Raiders trading back, though?
Yeah.
Maybe not like Derek Carr.
If I'm offered that, I do.
Mariota.
I do it in a second.
Mariota?
If I'm offered that. Yeah, I make that trade in a second if I'm the Giants. But like Alex said, I don't think that the Raiders are going to trade up with the Giants. But if they were willing to do that, you could still get your offensive tackle at 12. You hope to get Andrew Thomas, Mekhi Becton, whoever falls to you there. And then you could get a guy like Chase on out of LSU, maybe Kenneth Murray. So you get an impact defensive player, you get an impact offensive lineman, and you still have pick number 36. I do that trade in a second, unless Chase Young fell to me, which I'm not banking on. But in that scenario, yeah, I make that trade. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony, I know you're on the Chase Young train, and I think it's becoming more of a probability, especially with the Redskins. Kind of, the Skins are like they're in this weird kind of limbo where they're like, we want Tua, but at the same time we don't want Tua, because why would you bring who they bring in? So they just brought in what's his name, Kyle Allen, right, from Carolina. Yeah. So Ron Rivera is very familiar with Kyle Allen. Why do you bring in Kyle Allen and have Dwayne Haskins if you're both of them can play? Right? Maybe they're going to create a competition between the two. I don't really know what their plan is there, unless they don't really believe in Haskins. Because I saw reports saying that Haskins, they thought that he was dyslexic because he didn't even know the playbook halfway through the season.
Yeah,
which is pretty funny to me because now I'm like, I remember like everyone was like, oh, Haskins has to be a Giant. Now I'm like, oh my god, we dodged a bullet with that guy.
Yeah, but all right. So your theory, Anthony, is that you think that the Redskins are going to take Tua, right?
No, I think somebody is going to trade up to number 2 overall. I think that the Redskins are going to hold strong. They're going to say, nope, we're not going to do it. We're not going to trade. Chase Young's our guy. And then someone's going to blow them away with an offer. And I think it's going to be the Dolphins because they've got so much draft capital.
Yeah,
they're going to blow them away with an offer. They're going to get up to the 2nd pick. And I think somehow somebody's also going to trade up to the 3rd pick because there's a lot of teams that still are looking for quarterbacks still. And Herbert, his stock has only been rising since the Combine, the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
So I could see him going top 3. And I really think Tua's going top 2 no matter what. And we all know Burrow's going number 1. But then I think Tua's going 2nd because I think the Dolphins are going to move up there. And I think maybe the Chargers, they're going to hear from another team, like maybe the Raiders, because I know I just saw a report yesterday that they like Herbert. There's another team that's slipping my mind right now, but I think another team's going to try and get in a bidding war and try to get Herbert at number 3. And I think the Lions, obviously, wherever the Lions go, they're probably still going to be able to get Okudah or whoever they want. So somebody's going to go get that quarterback at 2 and then at 3 also, and then Chase Young's just going to fall right in our lap, and all of us are going to be really, really happy about it.
Keep dreaming.
I like how the way your brain thinks, dude.
Keep dreaming.
I like the way your brain thinks, Anthony.
I'm not letting the dream die, man. I'm not letting it die.
Speak it into existence.
I look at the quarterback scenario actually the complete opposite now. I think after free agency, there's a lot less suitors and there's a lot less reason for teams to trade up. The Bucs get Brady. The Colts trade out of the pick. They don't have a first-round pick anymore. The Jaguars will see maybe at 9 and 20. The Raiders pick up Mariota. We'll see. That could be a competition between Carr and him. I hope you're right. I hope it goes quarterback. Chase Young falls right in our lap. I would say that's like a 1% chance. I would be beyond shocked. I'd give you a small possibility that the Redskins could trade out, but then I think the Lions take Chase Young.
There's like 3 good starters sitting out there. Andy Dalton, Cam Newton, and who's the other? Jameis Winston. 3.
Yeah.
That's because they're all trying to trade up and get quarterbacks instead. They don't want some free agent quarterbacks. They want the prospects, and that's going to create a bidding war at that 2 and 3 spot.
Where do you think those quarterbacks end up? Dalton, Winston.
Ooh.
I think Cam ends up with the Chargers.
Oh, okay.
You think Cam ends up with the Chargers?
I could see him in New England, but I don't think that, based on his injury history, that Belichick's willing to pay him the money that he probably wants to know that, he hasn't played in a year and a half. So, the Patriots, they depend on reliable guys. And you're not bringing in Cam Newton to be a reliable player. I could see them bringing in Winston, actually.
Yeah.
Kind of making him into a system quarterback.
I think
he's a good intermediate thrower.
If I had to pick, I think Dalton's going to go to New England. I think Winston's going to go to Pittsburgh to back up Ben for a year to take over the starter's job. And I think Newton will go to the Jaguars. That's my 3 predictions.
Ooh. I like Newton to the Jags. That's a low-key good move.
I think Newton to the Redskins. He'll get back with Rivera. Winston, I was thinking to the Patriots, but now that you said that Steelers thing, that makes a lot of sense to me because he's a little bit similar to Roethlisberger in a way. And it looks like Dalton to New England makes a lot of sense as well. I don't think the Chargers are going to sign anybody, though. I think they're going to get that quarterback in the first round, whether it be at 6, 2, or 3. I think they're going to get their guy in the draft. And, it's going to be the exact same thing that happened with Baker Mayfield. The quarterback's going to sit behind Tyrod Taylor for a few weeks and then take over. So
poor Tyrod.
Tyrod Taylor is like the odd man out in every situation. I feel so bad for that guy. Like, he's a talented player, and everyone's just like, Tyrod, nah, no thanks. I'm like, oh man, like he's like a decent player. Like he's kind of like a knockoff Michael Vick, though.
Yeah, he's basically like Alex Smith. I view him as a game manager.
Yes, he's like Alex Smith.
Yeah,
right.
But teams don't get excited about a 31-year-old game manager. They want a young quarterback, so he's kind of in limbo. I think that's what happened with him. But yeah, he's definitely good enough to hold the fort for a year or 8 games, and maybe the Chargers look at it that way, and maybe they don't take a quarterback. But if I'm the Chargers, I don't see how you don't do it, because you don't know where you're going to be picking next year, and you have the ability to take Justin Herbert. I think the Chargers have to take a quarterback, but I've read some mocks where they're not going to, where they take Simmons, so we'll see.
That Chargers defense with Simmons would be, oh my God.
Yeah.
They'd be legit. Don't they have Casey Hayward still?
Him and Derwin James on the same defense is like...
No.
Derwin was out last year, wasn't he? For a while this season.
Yeah, but he'll be back.
I would love to have... my dream scenario, and I think it was a scenario that Alex brought up, actually. I don't know if it was in a video or Twitter where I saw it. That's my dream scenario, where you get Simmons, you trade the 36, 37, and you take those 2 picks, move back up, and get your tackle. That would be my dream scenario on draft night. If you're telling me we still get Andrew, one of those 4 tackles and Simmons rather, it's far fetched. But if that were to happen, and I could see that being a possibility based on that scenario, that would be ideal. I'd have a smile ear to ear on draft night if the Giants were able to orchestrate that.
Even more likely is Simmons, and then like a guy like Austin Jackson in the second round at 36, like a developmental player who they can sit behind Solder for a year, learn the ropes, extremely athletic and a high ceiling, and just let him learn. Let him develop his fundamentals under a good coach and a starter who has a lot of good knowledge, just hasn't been playing well. Like Solder he's like a knowledgeable player that just gets beat physically a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think the drafting in the second round, a guy like Austin Jackson and Niang, and I think there's a guy Wilson as well. It's a bunch of really good players that they can look. Yeah, Isaiah Wilson. There's a bunch of guys that they can look to, to try and supplement that left tackle position for the future. But it really comes down to do they want to start someone now or do they want to develop somebody? That's what I think.
Yeah,
it's risky with Solder and Fleming heading into the season.
Very, very risky.
Yeah, it'd probably be the worst tackle duo in football going into the year. So I'm with you on that, Mike. I think they need to address it for an immediate impact player this year. I think they need to get a tackle, but we'll see. That's why I think they're going tackle. But I would love Simmons. I know a lot of my subscribers think I don't like Simmons because I'm saying I think they're going to go tackle. I love Simmons. I see what he brings to the table, and he would fit exactly what Joe Judge is looking to do. I'm going to be honest. I think Giants fans, and I'm not saying they're overhyping him a little bit. I think Simmons is a great talent, but I think because they heard Joe Judge's press conference and he's talking versatility, people say, "Oh, we got to take Isaiah Simmons. We got to take Isaiah Simmons." Had Joe Judge not expressed all this versatility talk, I think there'd be a lot more Giants fans on the side of taking the tackle. Because before, it was either Chase Young or Andrew Thomas. You go back a month ago. Now Joe Judge comes. He talks about how he wants to have all these different types of players that could fill different roles on the defense. Now everybody's on the Isaiah Simmons train. So I still think at the end the Giants hold strong. They take the tackle.
Yeah, that's reasonable. So. But I don't know. We have a lot of time left. It's about a month, and there's a lot to go through. And I'm just so bored every day going through all the same scenarios over and over again. But it's confusing to me because we have so many needs still, and to identify one position that we really need to allocate everything towards, like this pick is so important. Like this is the foundation for the future. So we need to be thinking about this pick very, very carefully. I think that's where Joe Judge comes in. Extremely good, evaluator. He knows what positions are valued. I'm sure they have some sort of chart he's bringing from New England that they value certain players more than others, certain positions. So I hope he's bringing something to help, and they can mesh with Gettleman pretty well and create something really cool. But I kind of want to start to wrap up here. So I want to do one last mailbag question. And the question is, who is your favorite offensive lineman in the draft, and who do you think would be the best fit for the Giants? So I guess those are simultaneous or cohesive rather. And who's the best guy that you think would fit with the Giants at this point in time? I'm going to start with Mike here, just because I know he is consistent with this one.
Well, it really depends for me which player is more important to your development, Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley. If you think it's Saquon Barkley, Andrew Thomas for me, because the run blocking for him is just tremendous. But if you're more interested in the consistent pass blocker who has been great throughout his college career, you might go Jedrick Wills. So it really depends what they want. Yeah. I obviously like Thomas a tiny bit more. That might change in the coming month, but I would go Thomas by just a little bit.
That's fair. Chris, what do you think?
First off, I'm going to give you my answer of who I think the Giants are going to take. I think they're going to take Wirfs. I would not pick Wirfs. The Giants have been linked to Wirfs for a long time. Kim Jones has said it several times. He had a fantastic combine. It would lead me to believe that nothing has changed there. So I think they're going to go Wirfs. I haven't heard much from Wills. You haven't heard much about Andrew Thomas linked to the Giants. Now, they could be playing cat and mouse, but if you go back and look at the last two drafts, when they've said things and things have leaked, they've taken those players. They took Saquon Barkley. They took Daniel Jones. So we'll see. But I'm in complete agreement with Mike. My top two offensive linemen, I might have it switched, but Wills and Thomas are my two guys because I think Wirfs is incredibly safe because I think no matter what, he's going to be a great guard. Like if he doesn't work out at the right tackle, he's going to be one of the best guards in football. But if you're taking an offensive lineman that early, I want to take a tackle, and I want to take a guy that I know could be a left tackle. Andrew Thomas is the only guy who I know for sure is a left tackle because Wills played the right tackle, but of course was the blindside protector for Tua. So, probably translatable. But I think Wills might be the most well-rounded offensive lineman of the bunch. And then as far as Becton goes, Becton might have the highest ceiling, but not the most technically skilled. He doesn't get his arms out enough. So I think he's got a really high ceiling, but I think he's the riskiest of the four, so I wouldn't want to take him.
Yeah.
Right.
Becton he has the highest ceiling and the lowest floor, I think. Obviously, the technique's a problem. So definitely not Becton to me. I actually do really like Wirfs. I like his versatility. He's super athletic. I think he's pretty technically sound. He's a solid player. And, that's one where, I heard you say he might end up being a guard. And even then, Kevin Zeitler's getting up there in age. Yeah. So if we have to move him to guard, we have to move him to guard. But I think he's going to be fine as a tackle in the NFL. And I love his athleticism, his versatility. And I think he's my favorite of the class right now.
Yeah. I'm on board with that, Anthony. And the reason is that the Giants can't be spending the 4th overall pick on a right tackle, especially since it's not Daniel Jones' blindside, like Chris mentioned. Wills was Tua's blindside protector, but this is a different scenario where the Giants can't be spending it on a right tackle. So here's why I think Wirfs is probably the best option. One, his ceiling is probably the highest of all of them because his athleticism is through the roof. I think he ran like a 4.85 40-yard dash, something crazy. So when you're looking at that, and looking how athletic he is and what he's capable of doing, he does have some things he needs to iron out. There's still a lot left to develop there, but I think that's where the professional coaching comes into play. But Wirfs can play right and left tackle, and that's what I really like. I think you take him and you're like, okay, he's the left tackle of the future, but let him compete with Cam Fleming and Nick Gates at the right tackle spot next year. Have him kind of learn both spots, but let him compete at right tackle, see what happens. That way they can make the most of him and give him some reason to compete. And maybe he explodes and it looks really good and they want to play him at right tackle and switch him over to left in his second year. I think it's the same thing as him coming off, coming out of college and then being like, okay, we're going to just put you right in left tackle. At least they can use him as a right tackle and then be like, okay, we're just going to make you a left tackle now. He has the experience that already. It's pretty translatable because he already has the knowledge. So that's why I think he's the best option. Andrew Thomas is strictly left tackle. Will seems like a right tackle to me. He might be translatable as well, like you said, Chris. I'm not entirely sure about that. But Becton is also one of those freaky, huge offensive tackles that could be, an anomaly in just humanity, just because of how big he is. And when you have a guy like that can move as nimble and as quick as he can, sometimes you just got to take a chance there. And that's probably what Gettleman's looking at. I think he's 6'8", 364 pounds, something insane like that. And when you have a guy that big, that size, and he can move as well as he can, it's hard to look over, pass over him. But then again, he's coming from Louisville, so he doesn't have the best coaching in the world. Good, not great. There's a lot of room to develop him as well. So many players to evaluate, so many reasons to pick certain players. But I want to wrap it up there. So thank you, Chris, to coming on to the Fireside Giants network from Empire Sports Media. Thank you to Anthony and Mike for being here as always, your hosts, and Alex Wilson, myself. So, Chris, do you have anything left to say? Just make sure to follow his YouTube and his Twitter. He has awesome content. And, if you want good stuff, you should go to his page.
I really appreciate that. No, I had a great time coming on, and it was good to finish with that question because I think it's a great debate in terms of which offensive lineman they should take. And I thought Mike brought up a really good point with the whether or not you want to find somebody that can block for the running back or the quarterback. And thinking about Wirfs, if they were to draft him, I get excited about him getting out in space with that athleticism on screen passes, on runs around the outside, being the lead blocker for Saquon Barkley. So that's another thing to think about. But I'd be happy with any one of them, to be honest with you. I just want to tackle. But I just had a pleasure coming on, man. I respect all you guys. I love your channel. I've been following Mike for a while, and I'd love to do it again. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. I really appreciate everyone listening. Please make sure to watch after your elderly loved ones. They're the most at risk during these times, and we are here to make this a little bit more enjoyable as we all quarantine together cohesively. And, it's a tough times right now. And no baseball, no sports. All we can do is listen to mock drafts and, enjoy some banter on a rainy Saturday day in New York. So I hope everyone enjoyed this podcast. And, make sure to check it out on our YouTube channel and iTunes. Leave us those reviews. Only 5 stars. We're at the Dollar Tree. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you guys next time.